Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Last week, the Starkville Board of Aldermen voted to approve an interlocal agreement with the Lowndes County Juvenile Detention Center to reserve 2 beds to house youth offenders from Starkville.
The hope is that the partnership can be part of the solution to the area's problems with violent crime involving young people. Stephen Pimpo spoke with an Oktibbeha County Youth Court judge and a professor specializing in criminology. He joins us live in the studio with the story. Stephen.
Andrea Winston, that's right. Over the last few years, Oktibbeha County Youth Court Judge Lydia Quarles says there's been an increase in gun violence and weapons charges among juveniles. However, some feel that not only could using a juvenile detention center not be effective, it could actually make things worse in the future.
Violence and juvenile delinquency, it's really hard to say that there is a short-term solution because those are things that need to be worked on over time.
I'm aware of the journal articles that talk about how detention might not be the best thing for a minor. I understand them, but what I have is 14-year-olds with guns walking around in this community, and I don't like that.
The balance between community safety and not institutionalizing young people are often the main issues in consideration when it comes to juvenile detention centers, especially in places like Starkville that are dealing with a rise in violent crime.
These children, these minors, have shot each other, have shot their parents, have shot siblings, have shot into cars, have shot into buildings.
Since March, Judge Quarles says she's presided over an average of 3 to 4 cases each month involving juveniles and weapons.
We don't have a lot of kids that have the rationality of an adult, but they have a Glock, and a couple of clips, and that's very scary.
Now the Starkville Board of Aldermen has approved an interlocal agreement that would reserve 2 beds for juvenile offenders at the Lowndes County Juvenile Detention Center. Oktibbeha County Youth Court Judge Lydia Quarles is its leading supporter, but others doubt its effectiveness.
From what respondents in my research have said, especially adult respondents reflecting on their experiences in juvenile detention and as juvenile delinquents, they have said that detention only made them better criminals.
Dr. Sana King is an assistant professor of sociology at Mississippi State and has studied criminology for about 15 years.
You've been having exposure to being arrested, to police officers, detained since 12 years old. By the time you reach 15, 16 years old, it's not out of the ordinary, and so it's not seen as much of a consequence.
While Judge Quarles says the beds are only intended for those charged with violent or weapons-related crimes, Dr. King fears it could still be a gateway to long-term institutionalization.
Education, mentorship programs, addressing systemic inequalities and issues such as housing instability, food instability, and trauma, those tend to have longer-term impacts.
However, Judge Quarles says the Lowndes County Juvenile Detention Center provides children with teachers, counseling, meals, and structure that they otherwise may not have.
It's not a situation, obviously, that you want to be in, but if you take the chance of walking around with a gun and your mother or your father doesn't seem to care, then I think that might be a pretty good place for you to be.
That interlocal agreement is expected to be approved by the Lowndes County Board of Supervisors and then go into effect in October.